How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. It's your host, Rising and Believing. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about whether or not Persona 5 needs a sequel. So, I know a lot of people are probably going to hate this video or hate my guts for even thinking of this. Keep in mind, I am much for seeing just a brand new Persona game, Persona 6, instead of seeing a Persona 5 sequel. Keep that in mind, but this is a cool little topic to actually think about, mostly because of how much unresolved things you get towards the end of Persona 5, or realistically more Persona 5 Royal, because that continues and gives you the actual real true ending in Persona 5 Royal. So without further ado, and a warning, there are going to be spoilers. Of course, we're talking about the continuity of the story and how it would continue, so please be warned that there will be spoilers ahead of time here, so keep that in mind. And to start things off, we have to figure out where Persona 5, like Part 2, I guess you could say, would actually fit in. So because of Strikers, and Strikers is canon, you have to remember that. Strikers does continue the story of Persona 5. Some say it's not really Persona 5 Royals, but it's still pretty much canon that Persona 5 Strikers is continuing where the story would left off. So the furthest that we know of the Persona 5 characters and the crew and where they are is where we end up at the end of Persona 5 Strikers. So judging off of that, we can continue to see where things would go. But if we know towards the end of Persona 5 Royal, there is some weird sneaky bits they try to throw in at you at the true ending after you deal with Dr. Maruki and all of his stuff. I guess he's not, you know, he still is a doctor, I guess you could say, but he's not practicing anymore. He, you know, it's like a Uber basically, or whatever the hell. But we do see Akechi sort of flash by at the end there with Joker when he's on the bullet train. I believe it's a bullet train or a subway train or something like that, but we actually do see glimpses of Akechi there at the very end, which is sort of interesting to think about in terms of knowing that Akechi is supposed to be dead. He's supposed to be gone. In the true ending of the game, not the alternate sort of like fake ending that you could have with Dr. Maruki, where Dr. Maruki sort of creates this world where all the characters are sort of living in this fantasy world where they get everything they want. Really, Akechi is supposed to only kind of be alive in that version, but in the actual true ending, we do see some flashes of Akechi showing that he might potentially still be alive, or the alternate theory to this is that Dr. Maruki still has some powers over Joker in his sort of psychological world, or he's living in some sort of fake world, or Akechi never actually really dies. He never actually was supposed to die there whenever he was, you know, doing stuff at Shiro's palace and whatnot. So Akechi could still be alive, and a part 2 of Persona 5 could do something with continuing the story of Akechi, basically in some way figuring out what is all going on here. We do know that Joker is going away, so we wouldn't have the rest of the crew with us when we're experiencing Persona 5 Part 2. So the weird thing is, you know, what would we be playing? Who would we even be playing as? And I think a very cool theory to this, in terms of what a Persona 5 Part 2 could be, is actually playing as Akechi, going through Akechi's story all the way through Persona 5, because we see him come in and out here and there just during like basically big story bits dealing with the crew and Joker and everybody else. But what if we could actually go through Akechi's whole story and his sort of rise up, his first experiences within the metaverse and whatnot, him actually seeing the Phantom Thieves through another perspective, and you actually could have, you know, certain confidant links and whatnot. But the thing about Akechi is he really doesn't have a lot. He sort of just talks with Joker and, you know, maybe a couple other people. So the reason why Akechi, I believe, is so weak, he's sort of like a wild card like Joker is, but the reason he's so weak is he doesn't have a lot of links, he doesn't have a lot of confidants with him, so he's very weak when it comes to that. So we could potentially maybe see a game like Persona 2 where it spins the actual way the game plays. It's a sort of an alternate version of it where maybe we play as Akechi in his rise up while Joker doesn't have many confidants. So that's one sort of theory I've thought about, but another theory could just be playing through Akechi's story in general, and then once we get to the very ending of what Royal shows us, it could teach us about what is actually happening with Akechi there, because it's sort of interesting. Most of the Persona games have somewhat definitive endings as to what is happening, but for them to shoehorn on the fact that there might be a cliffhanger as to like what's supposed to happen next is sort of interesting, because we know that Strikers was developed by a different team, So that leaves us to believe that the fact that they shown off Akechi at the end of Royal and didn't do anything with him at Strikers sort of makes us believe that ATLUS has another game up their sleeve to show us what exactly that means and what the story is going to, continue off to be. Persona 4 Golden had other things like the arena games, the dancing games that actually continue the story of the characters, so it's not very far-fetched to think that there's going to be more Persona spin-off titles, but whether or not they're going to be, like Persona 5, arena, Persona 5, Strikers is another thing, but is there going to be an actual definitive mainline Persona game that deals with the Persona 5 characters having like an actual, turn-based JRPG, Persona 5 basically part 2, continuing on the story? Well, that's sort of hard to tell. Whether or not it's going to be an actual mainline JRPG game within the Persona series, or just flat out another sort of spin-off title similar to Strikers, but maybe done in-house by ATLUS. It's sort of hard to say what route they will go with, but there still is more story to be explained here when it comes to the Persona 5 story and the whole continuity of everything. There is still more that we need to know and more that we need to learn. So there's a couple different avenues there that we could take in terms of what we would think a sequel to Persona 5 would actually be. And if it's not a mainline JRPG turn-based game, we could see something like a spin-off title with just Akechi and Joker, which I think would be kind of interesting. Just the two characters, just, maybe having something similar to Strikers where it's an action-based thing, or maybe something even more than that. We're dealing with a lot of psychological, philosophical things when it comes to the human mind. Maybe somehow within Joker's mind, Akechi is still there. He's still trapped within his mind, maybe through the metaverse, through some means. So playing a game, and I know this is a weird thing to sort of compare this to, but like Cyberpunk 2077, where the Johnny Silverhand is actually stuck within the player's mind, and it's in a different way, but actually is stuck within the character, and maybe Joker and Akechi somehow need to work together in some ways through maybe some kind of Kingdom Hearts 3 Dream Drop Distance sort of deal, where one is in sort of the metaverse dream world thing while the other one's actually within the real world. So it kind of seems like when Akechi is shown in the reflections that maybe he's stuck in some sort of cognitive version of Tokyo or something like that, maybe, while Joker is in the actual real life, world, or Ren, or whatever you want to call him. But maybe he's stuck within the real world while Akechi is stuck in this sort of dream world. So I could see a spin-off game coming from ATLUS where it has to deal with that dynamic between the two characters, because from what it looks like, the rest of the team sort of stays in Tokyo and Joker sort of goes away. So I don't really see the rest of the team showing up unless they were to travel to him or something like that. Like, why show Joker leaving? I guess it's sort of a staple to show the main character sort of exiting and leaving and going away, because that's supposed to be the thing within Persona. You get about a year to spend with your players and, your confidants and everybody else within your team, so it's sort of like a bittersweet ending whenever they do that thing where they just sort of go off. But I think it makes a little more sense to have some sort of spin-off title dealing with both of them. But let me know your guys' theories down below. I'm very interested to see what you guys think about this. I've seen a couple different videos on this sort of topic, but I think another game definitely has to wrap up the story in some way. I think we all kind of know that. With the 25th anniversary come up, it's not too surprising to see that there are technically supposed to be 2 more mainline title games that are going to be coming out for the 25th anniversary of Persona, which we might be seeing them towards the end or the middle of these 7 new projects. I have a video on that, which I will put up here in a second towards the end of the video that you can watch, which will explain all of the sort of theories and potentially the first thing that we're going to be getting for the 25th anniversary for Persona. But there's going to be 2 more mainline title games that we know are going to be in there, and it's not too far-fetched to think that we're going to be getting a brand new Persona 5 game that are going to be actually continuing the story of our Persona 5 characters. But I think that's going to be it for this video, guys. Like, comment, subscribe for more content. Click the bell to be notified when I go live or whenever I have a new video drop, and become a member today. Click down below, click join. It's only $1. You get a bunch of cool emotes. I'm gonna have more emotes and things coming very, very soon. I'm also doing a Persona 5 Royal Merciless run, which has been going wonderful. But thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.